met a guy named Jorge, and he worked very hard at his job. And we had met because Jorge was looking for opportunity. He had worked very hard, he'd kept his head down, he did what he was supposed to, but he hadn't found a way to move up the economic ladder. And so there I was in his modest apartment in Newark's North Ward, sitting at his kitchen table, hearing his story, hear him ask me for help, and I couldn't help but wonder what had happened to the American dream. The reason I came to meet Jorge was that a couple of months earlier, as a college student with way too much time on his hands, and let's face it, not going to classes really helped there, I had come up with the crazy idea to start a microfinance institution called the Intersect Fund in the United States. Now, for those of you who don't know what microfinance is, the quintessential story is an agricultural worker in a developing country might borrow $40 to buy a goat. And they would use that goat, which would develop milk that they could sell for cheese, would produce 1 or 2 offspring a year, which was generally worth about 50% of the mother. And that goat was an asset that they could use to generate income from themselves. Well, you're not going to believe this, but after we knocked up and down doors all up and down New Jersey, we couldn't find a single person who wanted to buy a goat. So we had to adapt the model to the United States, and it turns out that the closest thing that we have to this $40 loan to buy a goat here in the United States is a food cart, right? A food cart, which you see all over the city here, is an asset that generates byproducts that you can sell in order to generate income. And that was how I came to meet Jorge. Jorge was looking for $1,500 to buy a used hot dog cart. And he wanted to buy that hot dog cart so that in the afternoons, after he had finished with his job in the warehouse, he could earn some extra money. And the reason that Jorge wasn't able to get the $1,500 was that he had no credit, no savings, no bank account, no experience, no business plan, no English. So he didn't have a whole lot of opportunity. So I did some back of the envelope calculations, and I looked at, it's a pretty simple business, a hot dog cart. Everyone sells them for the same amount. Everyone buys their inventory from the same place. Pretty much the only thing to it is finding a good street corner, which even that is not that hard. And when you do the math, it looked to me like with the $1,500 investment that he could earn an additional $12,000 a year in income, double his income. So to me, that seemed like a pretty good investment. So I left his kitchen table at his apartment with a handshake, and I said, Jorge, we're going to make this loan to you at $1,500. So when I took Jorge and his story back to the board of experts that we had assembled when we decided to start this venture, people like bankers and accountants and lawyers and real estate moguls, and I told them how excited I was that I wanted to make this loan to Jorge, I got met with a lot of resistance. What was their problem? Well, he had no credit, no savings, no bank account, no business plan, no experience, no English. And keep in mind, this was 2009. They told me, haven't you read the papers? You can't lend money to poor people. You see, they were there to protect us from ourselves, right? You want to just piss away all your money? Come on. What are you thinking? So we ended up going about 12 rounds, but I ended up winning that argument. Some people stormed out of the room. They never left. They never came back. And we made that loan to Jorge. And not only did he repay that loan 6 months early, but then he came back to us to take out a second loan to buy an ice cream cart. And so when we started having a conversation about this second loan to buy an ice cream cart, all of a sudden, brother's got a bank account, he's got direct deposit, he's got a debit card, and he's moving up the economic ladder. Jorge is now on his 6th loan with us. He has 3 hot dog carts, 2 ice cream carts, and a nut cart, right? And he doesn't even have to work outside in the hot sun anymore. He rents them out to other people. He's got this hot dog cart empire in the city of Newark. all from working in a warehouse, minimum wage, $12,000 a year. So fast forward to today, 4 years later, right, we've invested in over 500 businesses, deploying $3 million. And something is working. Because you look at all those bankers that had a problem with Jorge. Well, in 2010, JP Morgan Chase had a mortgage portfolio of $140 billion, and their default rate was 24%. Over the 500 businesses that we've lent to, 2009, 2013, default rate 1%. So how did we get this right? What was our expertise? Well, we didn't have any expertise in business. I was a math major, my co-founder was a history major, so it really wasn't that. But it turns out that our expertise wasn't in the kind of thing you learn in a book, but our expertise was our love and our compassion in the way we did business. You see, we realized very early on that what we were doing wasn't actually about money. Our very first borrower, when we signed the check for his loan, he came with his wife, and the moment I handed him the check, his wife started crying. And so I asked in Spanish, my broken Spanish, well, why are you crying? And Noelle told me that she had been telling him that he was never going to get anything from us. That people like them don't get given chances by other institutions in this country, right? And that she had kept telling him, you're wasting your time, you're just spinning your wheels. And she never believed that it could really happen. And it was at that moment that I really realized that what we're doing is not just about business, it's not about money, it's really about dignity. And so when we got faced with choices to make as a company, as an organization, whatever banks would do, we would just do the opposite. So they wear suits, we wear jeans. They make you come to them, we go to you, to your business or to your kitchen table. They make you feel like you're not deserving, and we treat you like with dignity, like you're worth $1 million. And so my message for you today is to think about what industry can you turn on its head with your expertise, right? And your expertise, again, doesn't have to be something that you learn from a book. There will never be any shortage of people who will tell you that what you're trying to do will never work, right? And that's because their expertise comes from a different arena, right? Investing in small businesses, you might think, well, if you wanted to be really good at investing in small businesses, then you should go talk to venture capitalists, to the bankers, the people who really know this stuff, right? Well, it turns out that that's not the case. So what industry can you turn on its head with your expertise and with your experience? Thank you.